Hello everyone, hello to all of our students which are watching us right now, hello to all of our Learning Center students, Education Center students, starting with the students from all semesters, first, second, advanced courses, all of our friends in the groups, all over North America. We're very, very happy to be with you. We have a very special lesson today. There are many friends with us. All of our friends, not only from North America.
That's me.
Today we'll be happy to dedicate this very special lesson to your question. We have plenty of questions that you have sent us, and everyone's invited to send us questions during the lesson. Marcus has a tablet. He'll be happy to receive your questions. So please send them directly. We encourage you all to use this opportunity, ask questions, and we will start with a few words maybe about the importance of this kind of lesson and preparation for the Congress lesson, for the upcoming New Jersey Congress, which is going to take place on the 10th of August. We want to come prepared. We want to understand what is a Congress, what is a Kabbalistic Congress. When Kabbalah students get together, how can we benefit? How can we realize the wisdom? So let's go directly to the questions. Rav?
I come once a year to the U.S. I can't do it more often. Well, sometimes it happens twice a year. Each time, I really want to meet all of my students, because the wisdom of Kabbalah can only be conveyed from teacher to student. There's a connection between people where you have to, first of all, create a physical click between people, because our world is the material world, a physical world. So if there's contact where I'm touching someone, after that you can continue. We see that for all our technology, we can only imagine that we are together. But there are kinds of more eternal contact, more spiritual, that still require a more special, natural connection among people. So coming into contact, into physical contact, where all of us are in one place for 2 or 3 days, talking to each other, mingling, being together in all kinds of activities and questions and answers, that's the only way to convey spirit from person to person. And then you can continue and deepen the connection in different ways. That's why I'm appealing to all the friends with whom I haven't met in meetings, and I am really asking of you to believe me that at least once you have to come into physical contact with me. And I'm waiting for everyone.
So, Rav Laitman, we'll start with the following question. A student, again, he finished the second semester and is asking, what advice can you give a student like myself? This is going to be my first convention. I understand that part of the preparation is donating myself. Meaning, what can you tell me in terms?
No, I don't think that a person needs to prepare himself too much, because we'll be talking about the simplest things there, from up to the relatively advanced things, matters, as long as it's convenient and comfortable for everyone. Our wisdom is an integral wisdom, meaning everyone can take part in it, from babies to grown-ups to elderly to young, men, women. Everyone is included in the system of connection between us. The wisdom of Kabbalah says this: how can people make contact among them in order to open up the system of guidance and providence, to know and to manage their lives before they are born, what happens to them here every moment, managing their lives here, and it is possible, and managing the future. And in general, making that flow that we are in such a way that we won't distinguish between this world, the next world, during life, after death, whatever. We feel no difference. We rise to a level above the physical existence. That's why we'll be talking about it. We will feel it, let's hope. But most importantly for us is to study the system that manages us, the general system, the general nature that guides us, that leads us or manages us, and how through that system, through knowing it, we can manage the world and manage our lives, so that we will know what we should do, how to use these forces that operate us, to have the right feedback between us and them. And in short, it's to open up the heaven. That's the motto. That's our motto. And knowing the forces that manage us and how we can influence them is called the wisdom of Kabbalah.
There are many other questions here. Another question from the Education Center. She says, this is my very first convention, and what kind of attitude should I have in order for this Congress to succeed?
We need to understand that just as on every Congress where people come, they want to connect among them, to acquire better understanding of each other. Excuse me. And we need to be ready to go through, besides the lectures, to also have a type of mutual acquaintance, not actual connection, bonding, but, acquaintance. I have to know the people in various circles of ours who've been studying with us for many years, or beginners. I'll have to know them, because if I know them, I can absorb the information about the wisdom of Kabbalah much more quickly. I begin to hear from everyone, because I can't study the whole time. So I can get some tips from others, all kinds of impressions to learn from others, how I can produce good results more quickly. It's like everywhere else. Look, I have a daughter who is a PhD in biology, in genetics. So every few months she goes to conferences in various places in the world. Well, geneticists of her type get together, and there they talk. So, and they all write essays. They're all in contact. So why go there physically? We see that if there is information that you want to acquire, to learn, you still need to come in contact with the people in whom this information exists. It's in the most contemporary science and in the most ancient science, like the wisdom of Kabbalah.
So when your daughter goes to a convention, surely she benefits. The question is whether this convention can benefit me spiritually.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Because what does the wisdom of Kabbalah say? A person who can absorb individually, personally, can acquire a certain number of information, a certain amount of information. But we are studying the integral system, the conclusive one. It includes our world and other spiritual higher worlds. When we want to acquire that system, we internally have to have the same quality as that system. And that system includes within it everything, minus, plus, well, in every way. Complete contradictions that unite as one there in the middle line, we'll learn it. Special absorptions of various parts of the system in order to better understand how all this works, so we can understand it, grasp it, and put it in order in our awareness. We ourselves have to be connected in some way. And so the Congress brings us into a situation where we can achieve such connection that it helps us feel and begin to recognize the upper system. Meaning, the form of connection we have at the Congress builds itself in such a way because we're all students of Kabbalah. So, through that influence, we come into such types of connection that we begin to feel the upper system. And if a person doesn't come to these congresses, doesn't come into that contact, even a little bit, just knowing other people, then he doesn't have a chance to feel the system of guidance and management under which we exist.
Does it speed up my spiritual progress, or
for sure?
Maybe I can watch from home.
No. You can't watch it from home. Well, you can physically watch it, but the benefit from it will be very minimal. It won't yield internal development of that sense with which you discover the general system, the higher one.
Student from New York is asking, how should this Congress be any different than other Congresses?
I can't say if people who don't belong to us, to our education center or to our circles, if they come to our congresses. Yes, so if such a person came, we just walk in, look around, and leave. They won't see any difference. It's like walking into any other congress, like geneticists or other scientists. What would they see? People come, talk about something, and go. Well, they have meals, they have all kinds of greetings. They have their songs, fine. Every profession has its own hymn, or whatever, like a theme song. But only people who are really in it, who become more connected among themselves, who understand that specifically through the connection between them, they have to find sensations, new sensations and qualities. That among them, specifically among them, is where the information lies. Not in me, not in the other. The spiritual information is between us, over here. I don't perceive it, he doesn't perceive it. But if we connect among us, between us. Between us, there'll be another sense, and in that sense, we'll begin to perceive spirituality. So the type of connection, even the smallest, we have to establish even the smallest connection among us, and then together we'll begin to feel the upper world. A person alone, without connection to another person who is also studying, who is in the same direction, the same desire, cannot feel spirituality. He can sit for many years on an iceberg somewhere, but he will remain alone. He'll know what's written in various places. He'll know the material, but he won't be able to develop the sense. And without that sense, just as we perceive reality in the five senses and feel the world we're in, just for spirituality, there's only one sense. It doesn't have five senses, just one. And that sense needs to be common between people.
The EC students from Chile are asking, what's the difference between a Kabbalah Congress and other congresses which also promote unity? There are different events around the world that promote unity. So what's the difference between a Kabbalah Congress and any other event which promotes unity?
Well, first of all, there's the goal. What does it mean that they promote unity? The important thing is the goal. Why I need this act, where we come and unite and sit together and listen together. Why is it important to listen together, to take part in questions and answers, and most importantly, in workshops, in cultural evenings, in getting to know each other? We put on stage people who are directors in order to get to know them physically and ask them so that we all connect. We hear announcements about new books, new plans. A person needs to be involved with the organization in which one is studying. If you studied in a university or somewhere, you know how important it is to be in the know, to be in the loop. And suddenly you discover that you missed out on many things because you didn't know and you weren't connected. So it's very important. I don't know. If I discover that here, through studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, I can discover a new life, the purpose of life, knowing how my life is arranged from above, through nature, through hidden forces, so I can know how to plan my future, myself, control my fate. Then accordingly, I need to understand that it's imperative information. I have to exert myself in order to achieve it.
If so, might one say that a person can better feel this thing on a Kabbalah Congress?
Yeah, we develop tools to sense it. Just as in our world, we first see it and feel it. It moves into our sensations, and then we begin to understand what it is. The whole question of what is it comes after I feel it. So, first of all, we need to develop the tools of sensation. Yes.
Just to mention, before we move on to the next question, we mentioned the New Jersey Congress, but before that, Dr. Rav Laitman, you'll be in South America. We just saw our friends from Chile and Bogota who were with us.
You can say a few words about them.
Yeah. this is starting the end of July. We're going to be in Colombia, Ecuador, Chile, then Mexico, and then we're going to come to the U.S. and have the North American Congress. So what you see now is all the information about the congresses in these places. You can get on the site and register for the congresses in order to really participate actively. Men, women, we're really expecting all of you. And it's something which is really worthwhile trying out. This is a completely unique experience. And also all our friends from North America are connected with us. We'll get questions from Toronto and New York. So, just to add, our students know that we have that this is an international organization, that we have plenty of students from all over the world talking different languages. And Rav Laitman, maybe people aren't aware that you're really traveling the world because it's very important for you to reach every place.
Thanks for mentioning it. I have the highest importance of giving to each of my students everywhere in the world an ability to come in contact with me, because after that we are connected, and it needs to be not a contact where we embrace or talk. I can't perhaps hug or talk to every single one, but when we are together in one area and seemingly converse, or with a few hundred people more, but it creates between us such a connection that afterwards, in that connection, enter information and sensations, emotions from me to the student, and I get also from the student to me. He doesn't feel it, but we are already communicating. That's why I'm willing to go anywhere to give to people who want to be in such connection with me, to give them this chance.
Rav, we know that on the EC we have plenty of students from all over the world, English speakers, and we know that there's a Congress in North America once or twice a year. Is there any point for someone from Australia or England or any other English-speaking place in the world to come to this Congress?
Yeah, I think so. But a person needs to feel importance. He needs to understand that this may be a one-time thing that may not come again. I'm not getting any younger from year to year, and I don't know if I'll be able to make contact again in those places, although I will try to my last drop of energy to do it. But for this reason, I would highly recommend, even to people who are not in the same place, like in the United States, to still come there and take part. I think that many people are coming from Europe, perhaps from Australia, from the Far East as well.
We have questions from the internet. Cody from Miami is asking, what's the best way to prepare yourself for a Congress, both as an individual and as a group?
Actually, there's a group of people, organizers of the Congress, and they're organizing it, and there's a, what do you call it? Like a preparation page. Yeah.
Yeah, if we can see the slide, please. We have it both in Spanish and for the Congress in New Jersey. You can go to Kabbalah.info/ES, and you will find all the relevant information on the Spanish side and Kabbalah.info/convention. For English, we have a page there called Preparation. You can find different materials there that you can read, that you can go over in order to be ready. And there's also a certain checklist there that you can go over and see, did I do this, did I do that? It has to do both with corporeal matters and also spiritual preparation. And there is a mini site dedicated only for the Congress. Please, go on the site, go through it. You can also ask first of all, you have all the information there, and also you can ask any question you have. Kabbalah.info, click the big banner, and you will find the Congress site. And also Peter from the U.S. is asking, how can we know that the Congress is a success?
Success in the Congress can be multifaceted or multi-leveled. It depends on the level at which a person is, and depending on the goal that you set before you, what you want to achieve. I hope that the goal of the purpose in general should be that we reveal the Creator, each and every participant. That's the goal. It's the goal of the wisdom of Kabbalah that we are studying. But the wisdom of Kabbalah isn't just about studying like a topic in university. Even in university, you have exercises, you have to hand in papers, practical works you have to do. You are sent to all kinds of factories where you do stuff. So here, it's very important for us that besides the theoretical study, we also actually practice it. And that's what the Congress gives you. Especially for those who study online, virtually. For them, it's very important that they come in contact with others. It's just a must. It's a must. We see how our friends in Russia, in Bulgaria, in the Baltics, in Italy, they had a summer camp and other such events, and they're very helpful in Bulgaria and in Russia. I just visited there, and I think it's very important what they're doing, how they get to know each other, how they come in contact, and through the connection between them, according to what is written in the wisdom of Kabbalah. They're actually building a sense for the revelation of the Creator.
Question just came in from Bogota. Can new friends come to the Congress?
Who never studied?
New friends, that's the definition. New people. How new can you be, should you be in order to come?
For me, it's not that important if you're new or not, but rather people who have a genuine inclination or desire for it. That's what's important. If they have a strong enough desire for it. It can be a complete beginner, but with a real desire for it, not just curiosity, but someone who feels inside that actually subconsciously this is what I've been looking for my whole life. Yes, the answer to the question, what am I living for? What is life for? What's above life? What's beyond it? And all these questions were kind of present in you and poked you and kept you restless during life. And you did stuff, and perhaps you had all kinds of businesses and all kinds of engagements, but they were all because of that question, what's the meaning of life? What am I living for? What's the secret of life? Which was constantly pressing you. And now you found it. If you feel you've found it, you should come, even if you didn't study anything. Yes.
Okay, obviously, someone who feels that thing, he benefits greatly from coming to Congress. But what about a student from this EC? He hears what you're saying, but he doesn't feel the sting. Can he benefit something? Should he come?
Coming to a Congress, I was answering the question about a person who didn't study anything but had a desire. A person who did study and has knowledge should come to the Congress in order to try to implement them. Because otherwise your study will be theoretical your whole life. You won't discover the upper world, this system that manages us from above. And the whole purpose of the study is not to remain with this information in our brains, but to actually begin to feel it, to discover it, to have a type of communication and mutual connection between me and the system of management and guidance that is influencing me, so that by opening it up, by knowing it, I can begin to work with it and change my destiny, my future. I feel at that time as a person standing at the center of creation. That's the purpose of the study, to bring a person from a level of a small animal to the level of a human, similar to the Creator, so that you take on the reins of governing the worlds.
Question from Brazil. Why does a person have to be in contact with other people in order to discover the other world?
I already gave the example of how only through the connection between us we build a sense for the spiritual world.
Yeah, but why does it work this way?
Because each of us is an egoist. With our egos, we can only perceive what we are already perceiving in the five senses. Our egos activate and operate our five physical senses, with which I perceive only this reality, a very short span of it, from birth to death. If I want to feel something not through my body, which is limited in both perception and duration of perception, I have to extend my body. How do I come out of it? By connecting to another and building between us this sense that is capable of spiritual perception.
Is there any advantage to coming to a Congress in terms of building the spiritual sense?
Of course. Without connection with others, you can't build it.
And that many people from different backgrounds come together.
Even better. Then that sense will be more developed. The more different we are, by building that sense between us, we can instantaneously perceive many spiritual facets and many degrees, because we have to skip over our egos, which are between us. So you don't have a better laboratory than a Congress in order to achieve such a vessel, a kli. We develop it afterwards, but that already establishes the contact between us, and that contact remains.
So to continue that, our student from the EC is asking, I've experienced the virtual workshops, and my question is, what's the difference between the workshops which we have online and a physical workshop at the Congress?
I would put it this way. Without having physical workshops at the Congress, you don't know how to do them properly online. You just have to come in contact with a person. After that, because you don't have a choice, you'll continue it virtually.
Another question from the EC. Understand that we're going to have music, songs that people write according to their inspiration from the studying of the wisdom of Kabbalah, also like the music that you have on JLTV. My question is, are we going to sing together at the Congress?
Well, if you want to You can. If you don't, you don't have to. Some people like to perform with a guitar or whatever other instruments. There are bands that get together and want to please us with all kinds of songs. Why not? Sure. But it's not a must. If I can't sing, if I have no musical, if I don't have a musical ear, and by nature I'm not a person who likes to stand out and be conspicuous, I can just sit quietly and look at things from the side, and you still absorb an internal connection just by being there, even without standing out. And that's enough to begin, through the connection established between us, to begin to discover spiritual things.
Meaning, I look at the Congress schedule and I see that there are different activities which we have together in order to build the spiritual sense we talked about. We have lessons, workshops, meals, cultural events, using music, different melodies that Kabbalists left us, and I can participate more or less actively in accordance with how I feel.
No one's pressing anyone. We come. We have a hotel. We have the meal. We have the schedule. We don't have to do anything. We are served in every way. We come. We sit in the hall. We listen to the lecturer. People tell us things that are happening in this organization, the news, the plans. A big part of the time will be dedicated to questions and answers everyone can ask from the hall. You can ask the lecturer on stage and get an answer. Or we listen to others' questions and answers. If I'm shy, I may not even have to ask, because normally the questions being asked usually also include my question. There are breaks where we go out to the lawn. Some take walks, some just talk to each other. There's no pressure in any way. But being in one area together and with the lecturer and with the questions and answers, these things establish the necessary spiritual contact in order to develop a sense for the spiritual system and begin to feel it.
We have a question from the U.S. related to this, asking, what is the right attitude in order to come to the Congress with?
The right attitude is that I don't have a choice. I have to go, and by participating there, I raise myself to a level from which onward I can discover the spiritual world. The spiritual world, as it is written for us in the essay, The Essence of the Wisdom of Kabbalah, is the method to reveal the Creator to people in this world. The method mandates that you exist, that you are in a physical group. If you're in a small group, fine. If you're alone, what can you do? But even if you're in a small group or a big group, and even more so if you're alone, you have to come to a place where people gather, and from there you'll be able to rise, specifically from there. It's been that way for generations, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's how the thing works. It follows the rule that we have in nature. We learn it in physics, in biology, that connection between things can be only if there's correlation between them, something in common. Then there is connection. If they are brought together through an external force and there's no correlation between them, they are rejected, repelled, like water and fire. because there's no attraction between them. But if there's, through some means, there's closeness between them, they neutralize each other. We have to come in contact with the spiritual world. So for that, we need to have the proper qualities for spirituality. The spiritual world is a system that manages our world. It's a global system, integral, round, circular. It's like a sphere that we are in. When we are in that sphere, in order to feel it, I have to have the sense or the quality the same as that sphere, and then I begin to perceive it. Otherwise, I just don't grasp it. I can't perceive it. It's like being able to hear from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz and not beyond that range. And the same goes for light waves. So we have to understand that we have to build that integral sense in us. Now, it doesn't exist in me because I'm an individual, and the same goes for him and for everyone else. In order to build a sense for the perception of the upper world, which is that global thing, that sphere, I have to try to connect to others in such a way that between us, not in me, not in the other, but between us, we build that additional sense. And the best way to do it is if we are connecting at congresses. So, to reiterate, to me it is clear that to the last day when I am capable, I have to go from place to place and reach out my hand to everyone coming to the Congress so they connect to me.
Previously you mentioned, when you talked to Asaf, and before you said that a person who never experienced the physical contact, he will not be able to build the virtual contact. It's like previously you said that in order to feel a virtual workshop, you first of all have to feel a physical one. So what is it about the physical connection that can help you then?
I can't tell you. You tell me. How can a child be born without contact between a man and a woman? You tell me how. You have to, at least transfer something from someone, yes? You take the egg from her, the semen from him, and then you do something. There has to be contact, connection. Without it, nothing moves forward. The same goes for here. Conveyance of the wisdom cannot happen, how should I put it? It cannot happen completely virtually. It can't, because that virtual connection is artificial. It's not natural. The fact that we're used to it is true. But it's an artificial connection. It doesn't exist in nature. Understand? So what happens is that when we build only a virtual connection without coming into physical contact, we'll discover it. We think, that's it. It's enough. I can just sit in my own corner and not be connected to the world, and then try it out. Take a baby, raise it in such a way that it never goes out to the world and sees it through screens. You realize what kind of a monster you'll be raising? What will come out of it? Why do we want children to be among other children, to go to kindergarten, to play with others? Why? Because by that they build their personality.
That's interesting. There's a lot of research regarding till the age of 6, all of the entire development of a child is built through his contact with others. And it's the same with spiritual. No, interesting. I want to share an experience from my very first Congress from about 9 years ago. We came from Australia together with Gil Kedem was sitting here. We flew for 24 hours.
You came from Australia?
Yeah, I came from Sydney, Australia, together with Gil and a few other friends. We crossed the whole world. We were so excited, such preparation to be on this thing. You can't sleep for 2 weeks before the Congress just from thinking about it. And then to come and teach all the people and our teachers and everyone else. And suddenly you see face to face all those people that you see on screen. So it was the most powerful moment in life. So that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to meet Rob Laitman, Mike Kellogg, all the friends sitting here, many other friends that we know but never actually met. We'll be very happy to sit together, talk, get to know you. Maybe we could take a question from New York. New York, can you ask live?
Hi, Rav.
Hi.
The question that we have a few questions. First question we have: is it advisable for the world Kli to prepare together with the IE preparation that is coming from North America, that North America is doing?
אז בעצם, טוב, חברים שלנו מניו יורק, חברים ותיקים שלנו שהם...
So our friends from New York are asking. Asaf is now repeating the question.
משתתף גם בכיוון הזה של החינוך האינטגרלי שאנחנו משתדלים לעסוק בו בצפון אמריקה. האם מומלץ שהכלי העולמי...
Is it recommended?
Oh, yes, of course. I need to participate in integral education. Now that I'm going through the 5 Latin states in Latin America, I hope that those who can follow it will also take part in it. And those who can't in real time should watch it later in some way. And it doesn't matter if we repeat many of the things in congresses. For me, there's never a repetition, because I am constantly with different people. It's like, I ate yesterday, so what? Today I'm not going to eat. So I think that those congresses, even if there are repetitions, even if there's what sounds like repetitions in them, each time it's a new spiritual abundance that appears, because it all depends on the kli, on the vessel of the participants. So it's never boring for me. I'm never tired of repeating the same things, because for me they're not the same things. A mother who fed her little baby yesterday, doesn't she get the same pleasure again today when she gives it something, when she feeds it? The desires are new desires, and there's not a moment that's like another moment. So you want to follow all of these congresses, but that shouldn't stop a person from taking part personally in one of them. I'd like to also take the opportunity to send warm regards and warm blessings to all of our friends, my loyal students in Latin America. I'll be coming there first, and I truly feel very warmly about them. We've been in contact for a long time. I'm very happy that we are meeting very soon.
Tim, can you hear us?
So Tim, I want to tell you that it would be good to watch the preliminary congresses too. I mean, it's not mandatory because I know, especially the New York group will be preparing the New Jersey Congress. This greater New York group, let's call it this way. But if you can, it's worthwhile.
Marcus, maybe you'd like to add? New York said they have a few questions, so is there any other question you wanted to ask, New York?
So what is the best way for veterans to help newcomers and vice versa, for newcomers to benefit veterans?
אז שואל לורנס, מקבוצת ניו יורק, לורנס בעצם אומר, יש שם תלמידים ותיקים, תלמידים חדשים, מה הדרך הכי נכונה, הכי
Asaf is repeating the question.
I think, no, it's a question, it's a pertinent question. I think we need to see, according to what's comfortable, what's convenient, what's best for me. We need to connect with as many people as possible. If I come there and I don't know anyone, then I want to get to know everyone, to kind of sense what they're talking about, what others are talking about. There are these, there are those, there are all kinds of people. Some people came there for the first time, they don't exactly know where they came to. And some take part, like the New Jersey group, the New York group, and other groups like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, in Canada, Toronto, Miami, Philadelphia. There are strong veteran groups that know each other, but there are those who came almost by chance. So I want to get to know everyone. But mingling, if I'm in some place, like where there are no groups, then I try to maybe find some group that is closer to me physically, so I can come there once every so often, like once a month, or maybe even once a week, if they have this meeting, etc. So those who are at the Congress and are alone, it's good if you can find friends who live nearby, so you can continue the connection.
Ravi brought up this point. That there is fear which prevents people from coming. The point that they stand there alone, not knowing anyone. They're new, so it makes it hard for them to come.
Now look, I've been to all kinds of congresses. Scientific ones, political ones, economic, social sciences. I've been to all kinds of congresses. Of course, when you go in there, if you come alone and you don't know anyone, so that's on the one hand. On the other hand, you don't have to know. You don't owe anyone anything. You come. You're told, just sit down and listen. And then you gradually get to know people. And you see that everyone's like you, basically. You're not asked to do anything. There are no requirements of you. No one's telling you you have to take part. No. Besides, there are organizers, there are people who will always help you, whose duty is to do that at the Congress. There are many people who are more introverts. They like to be quiet. No one's going to pressure them to force him to be conspicuous, to stand. I think that every person can feel comfortable there.
One more point, that there are many friends who used to be virtual and they come to this, that they're virtual and they come to a Congress and suddenly they find people who live practically next door or in the same city, and they have the same. It's amazing to meet people that have the same goal as I have and the same desire, and he lives, suppose, only 200 kilometers from me. So I have the opportunity to get to know these people, not only from North America, but from all over the world.
True.
It's an opportunity for people to meet. Yeah.
Yep. In many cases, people came from one continent to another, like from Europe to the U.S., and in the Congress in the U.S., they discovered they were neighbors in Europe. Many things like that happened. Yeah, it's interesting.
Question from the U.S. If there's just one thing that I should focus on during in order to prepare myself for the Congress, just one thing, what should that be?
It's like asking a child, what's the one thing you need to worry about when you come to the Congress as a preparation for the Congress? I have to see to my desire, and desire whereby participating there I will find the light for my life. I come there, I mingle with everyone, and then I feel that I've acquired a torch that illuminates through me my way forward. That's what I want to acquire. It's good if I have the desire for that.
On our previous preparation lesson gathering, on one of your answers you said that besides the congresses that we come to around the world, they both build the connection between us and so on, but they also influence the world for the better. So the EC manager, he asked this question. He said, how can the Congress help the situation in the world? Let's listen.
We appear to be going through a very serious stage all over the world. We have the current crisis in Israel that we're watching on TV right now. We have a conflict in the Ukraine. We have problems in the Far East, like Korea. And even here in America, we have huge conflict right now with tens of thousands of immigrants that are illegally entering America. Now, we know that our students in the EC are a major part of the solution to these crises, and they'll have a very important role within that solution quite soon. With that in mind, how do you see this Congress as a means to all of our mutual advancement?
Okay, so Asaf is repeating the question.
בבת אחת אנחנו רואים, גם כאן במזרח התיכון וגם באוקראינה קורים דברים, בקוריאה, גם בארצות הברית יש בעיה עם המון מהגרים בלתי חוקיים, המון משברים וקונפליקטים. אנחנו יודעים שתלמידי הקבלה הם משפיעים בחיבור שלהם גם על העולם, ואנחנו מאוד מקווים שהתלמידים שלומדים איתנו ב-Education Center יתחילו להרגיש את זה ואת המשמעות של זה. אז איך אנחנו יכולים להשתמש בכנס כאמצעי להתקדמות המשותפת שלנו בכל התחומים האלה?
רגע, השאלה האחרונה אני לא מבין.
איך אנחנו...
I didn't get the last question. In order to benefit the world? Maybe that's the question.
In order for all of us to progress.
All of us, meaning the entire world or the groups?
The whole world and us included.
The force of connection that we discover between us at the Congress, well, depending on what level and on how much we are drawn toward it, how consciously we're doing it, yes, being aware that we need the force of connection between us. That's what yields results. It turns out that the more we connect among us, that connection influences the entire system. All the worlds, spiritual ones, all 5 spiritual worlds are influenced by our connection below. It's like a little baby with one sneeze turns the whole family upside down, and everyone starts running around checking what's wrong with it, etc. It's the same for us. Physically, we are a tiny body, a few thousand people. I'm talking about our nucleus. We may be a few thousand people worldwide, but in terms of qualitative power, we have a huge influence on the whole of reality, higher and lower. So we need to really see this Congress as an opportunity to benefit the entire world, not just ourselves. The more we want to do it, it'll have a positive feedback on us as well, and we and the world with the entire upper system will have a stronger connection, and we will begin to come into a state where we see how we influence favorably. Influence can only be a favorable one. How we influence the entire system and how that system influences us. So that connection with the upper system, according to the law of equivalence of form, is built between us gradually, and I'm hopeful that as a result of all these congresses in South America and North America, we will advance substantially to a point where we feel that we are acting, that we are operating.
What is the role of North and South America in this respect?
Of course, there's a big difference in mentality, but in relation to the wisdom of Kabbalah and its implementation, I don't think there's a difference, not a real one. Because as we connect, we rise above our mentalities, above anything that has to do with this world. Because we need to connect among us on a higher platform. And then we begin to connect to the upper world. So all of these differences in languages, in customs, in everything that separates us genetically between nations, between races and peoples, they all disappear. In the spiritual world, everything is measured only according to the desire of a person. So there, we all unite. Yes, Toronto wanted to ask?
Nice work. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I have a question kind of popped into my head, but hopefully it's on behalf of everybody here. I'm sure there are students who are coming for the first time, and they're spending a lot of money, and they're taking vacation time to come off for this Congress, and they're probably expecting something tangible. They want to attain something. And you're talking about creating a vessel or discovering the connection between us, and through that we can sense something new, a higher level of reality. But for new students, I'm sure they don't feel that's something they can grasp onto with their hands. So if you could sort of convince or sell this idea to new students so they'll feel it as something real, that they're, and that's also a question, should the people coming to this Congress, should they feel that this is literally something within their reach, something tangible that they're going to discover? And should they be disappointed if they don't discover it afterwards? Should they have such a kind of like a businessman demand for it?
כן, אז ג'ון מטורונטו שואל...
Asaf's repeating the question.
אנשים מגיעים לכנס, בפעם הראשונה שלהם. הרבה מהם בעצם משקיעים כסף בטיסות, או חופשה מהעבודה, וכן הלאה, מאמצים ומשאבים. ויש להם ציפיות לקבל איזושהי תמורה מוחשית, כמו שאנשים רוצים לקבל. עכשיו, אנחנו מדברים על יצירת כלי חדש באדם, חוש חדש, שבו הוא מרגיש דרגה חדשה של המציאות. והשאלה, איך היית מסביר כזה דבר לאדם? האם בכלל לתלמיד גם צריכה להיות כזאת גישה, כמו של ביזנסמן, של אני משקיע X, אני הולך להרוויח תמורה מסוימת. איך נכון, אם אני אגיע לכנס ואולי לא יגיע לתמורה שאליה חיפשתי, אז איך להתייחס לזה?
אני מבטיח תמורה לכל אחד.
I guarantee that everyone will be rewarded, for sure.
מהמעמד שזה מתקיים.
From just this event, to the existence of this event, the Congress. But the question is, what this student defines as an advantage. Does he feel that he's acquired something spiritual, advanced toward it? Does he already feel the spiritual steps that have been taken during the Congress? There's a child who at 1 year old is being taught to walk, or maybe a little earlier. Does it know what it's doing? It doesn't. It's taken by the hands, then you leave it alone, it cries, doesn't know what to do, then it makes a few steps forward and falls, and again and again and again. So that's a very bad feeling, right? We know. They cry, they don't want it. They want to be on the parents' hands. And we push them into these unpleasant activities. But by that they learn to walk. So we need to see it as an example. We exert, we invest money, vacation time, true. I don't think it's long though, because the Congress is already taking place on days that are off, like the weekend days. If we take another day to get there back and forth, we have to see how maybe we can spare those days. But we do need to make investment in terms of time and money, for sure. But we also need to recognize that entering this spiritual world and beginning to walk is impossible unless I actually take those steps, where I know that I have no choice but to exert myself and not be afraid of taking a few steps forward. And that's how I will learn. That's how I will enter the upper world. The fact that it's not that easy, maybe even difficult, I may have to resolve all kinds of problems in order to get to the Congress, is true. But we can see that our own lives too are built that way. It takes a lot of sweat and effort to learn, for babies to learn things and be able to succeed in the world. We are the same. In order to succeed in the spiritual world, we have to make efforts. That's life. But when we do it together with mutual support, I don't think it's a problem, really. Let's try it. We'll do it together.
Toronto.
More Kabbalah Congress or the more Integral Education Congress? And will I get practical tools to change the world? Thank you.
כן, אז חבר שלנו, דימה, הוא שואל, האם אנחנו נכוון את התוכן של הכנס יותר למהות חוכמת הקבלה, או גם לאותה חוכמת החיבור, החינוך האינטגרלי שנובע מחוכמת הקבלה, והאם אני אקבל כלים מעשיים ממש לתקן את העולם, לשנות את העולם.
האמת
In truth, I think that our Congress should be more around the wisdom of Kabbalah, especially since I want to meet the students of the EC. And implementing the wisdom of Kabbalah in integral education, we will talk about it, but this will not be the focal point. That's what I think. You can change these things any minute you want. The participants can be all of a sudden about integral education or about problems in connections, in families or in workplaces or anything that has to do with general crises or personal crises that we experience, etc. It doesn't matter to me, I'm ready for anything. You know me, I don't even want to know the topic of the lesson or the workshop or the activity until right before the activity itself or right before the lecture. Because it's best if I go out to the public and I begin to connect what I just heard with a desire I discover in the public. If I feel it within 5 minutes or so before I begin the lesson, it's enough. And besides, they are my students. I quickly feel what's happening with them. And we begin to establish a connection between us. The words aren't that important here. The important thing is establishing a connection between us, where through these channels of connections between us flows force, warmth, understanding, connection. You see, how do children grow? Through loving them, through giving them, warmth, human warmth. Otherwise, they won't grow. It's palpable with people. It's the same goes for us. We have to create a warm mutual connection, and in that connection, you can begin to stream the information and everything else. So let's hope we will succeed. But again, the topic, you can change it any minute. It's not important to me. I'm ready for anything.
Just to add some technical info, our schedule is built so that we'll have all different kinds of activities, and since we have various audience and people who did not yet experience the wisdom of Kabbalah from its different aspects and the integral education, so we'll make sure that it fits everyone. And like we said, that we're coming in order to see, we flow as it goes, meaning we'll see what suits us best. And a few more questions from the EC students. How did Kabbalists from ancient times achieve spirituality?
There was never such a thing. There was never a Kabbalist who sat alone and didn't have a group. A small group, at least. 5, 6 people. The Ari had 6 people who were close to him, students. Baal HaSulam also had 6 close students, not even 10. Rabash also had six friends who were studying together. When I came to Abash, they were all about 65 or 70 years old, maybe even older. I don't know a Kabbalist who didn't have a group. Today, because we are headed toward the general correction of the world, then masses of people come together. We have huge circles. Our inner circles is pretty small because it requires great efforts. It's only for those who have strong desires, naturally, out of their the spiritual gene within them. But broader circles have millions. People who know us, hear about us, sympathize to an extent, each according to the desire that has opened up in a person thus far. But when we begin to develop that desire by ourselves, that's different.
Nonetheless, when I think about Kabbalists from the past, I have this image in my mind that they're very serious about their studies, and that it's something very serious. And when I look at the Congress, it might look not that serious. So here we have people who are doing serious inner work, and we look at today, they're singing, dancing, and...
But they too come to us from Kabbalists. They did the same. Sitting in a circle? Yes. Having meals? Of course. Songs during the meal? Besides the meal? That too. Things that we do pretty much existed with Abash as well. There's even footage from that, video footage from there, where you can see how we danced there, how we sang. This was all customary. When I came to Abash, I was amazed to discover that those 6 men, who were all old people, every night after a day of study and bonding, in the evening they all had a meal. A modest one. But every night they would eat together, where they were studying in the same place. They would sing when they got together. Of course, for us, it's on a larger scale, but it's the same type of thing.
To continue what Marcus started asking, all these actions that might seem as corporeal actions, do they have any spiritual additional value?
Of course. Why else do we do it? Each and every act we do is measured according to its spiritual value, and that's why we adopt it and work with it. Otherwise, why sit and talk and jump and dance and sing together? Every moment during this Congress, I have to make profound scrutinies. Am I using it in the best way?
New Jersey, I have a question. Go ahead, please.
New Jersey, go ahead.
Yes, good evening. Yes, my name is Ruben. I have a question, please, regarding the Americas. Every time there's a Congress in the United States, especially, I noticed that there's a lot of emphasis in these Congresses in the U.S. And what I'd like to know if there's a special, like, spiritual need coming from the Americas for the development of the world or something like that? Like, why is so important the Congress is in America? Thank you.
כן, אז רובין שואל אותנו בעצם...
Asaf's repeating the question.
בכלל על יבשת אמריקה. מה באמת הדגש והחשיבות של כנס ביבשת אמריקה בתהליך הכללי של העולם עובר?
אם אתם שואלים על...
If you're asking about America, the American continent, I would say that this continent is in decline. Especially North America is losing its power of influence on the world. It's a known thing. Because our world as a whole is coming to a state where it becomes more homogeneous. Where all the countries and nations and states will soon arrive at a very interesting situation. They'll all become pretty equal. A big country, a small country, strong country, weak country, a rich one, a powerful one in terms of army, number of population size. It's a wonder, but the world is moving toward a spiritual form. And in spirituality, big or small is not about power or quantity or force. The spiritual force lies in being able to be connected with others favorably, positively. So a small country that's connected to the rest of the countries, well, in bestowing upon others, that will be the most influential country and the most important one to the world. So we can see how this all shapes up. That countries who used to be so influential and so big and strong, so important to the world, are today losing their value, that value of theirs, and a completely new consideration is taking hold. It's still not apparent, and people don't know it, but there's no doubt we're moving toward a situation where only countries that give good, positive things to the world, toward connection to the world, will be the important countries. And they'll all arrange themselves according to this importance. And that's why if America wants to remain at a higher position in relation to the world, it should understand the trend that neither money, nor power, nor army, nor other physical, nor any other physical power of this world is acting today. Rather, new spiritual forces are manifesting now. Good connections, not just any connection where you steal information from each other or somehow you control each other in some clandestine way. Only positive connections. So I don't know if rulers will ever take this into consideration, and if they will, when. But that's what's going to happen. And so you, who are in this continent, can do a lot to improve the future of the continent, and especially the United States, which will continue to decline in its influence on the world. And it's nobody's fault. It's a historic process, a historic evolutionary process. But you can change it and improve it. Specifically you, because you are the positive power of bestowal, of influence that is in the U.S.
Change how? Asked Norma.
How to change it? By bonding among you. By being organized positively among you, at least in North America and Canada. So they arrange themselves more strongly closer to each other and bring in the power of unity and advertise it to others, because the world is changing quickly into a new paradigm.
There are several repeating questions about the Congress itself. New students, they feel rejected or antagonism during the Congress.
I don't understand who's forcing them to connect.
There's this atmosphere to be among many people.
I know it from experience, my own. I'm a terrible individualist. I'm very introvert. I can sit in my room my whole life and never come out. I don't run around the streets or around the world. I don't get any pleasure flying from one continent to the next. Not at all. And physically getting to know people, I'm totally not cut out for it. My character is very to isolate myself. But I think here in the wisdom of Kabbalah, unlike in our world, you need to establish such an atmosphere that it doesn't really put you under pressure, that you can be among everyone and yet remain alone. Because in our inner work, we are alone. And in our external activities, we make some connections among us, but again, it's without pressure, because there's no coercion in spirituality, it's a condition. But you need to push a person a little bit toward it, to get to know the system, because it helps you advance. So I'm sure that anyone who comes to the Congress will not feel obligated to be in contact with others. If you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. If people sit together and sing or do something, you don't have to sing. Others get up and do something else. You can be with him or not. There are many people like that. I think we need to, and now I'm appealing to the organizers of the Congress, we need to make it comfortable for everyone. We have to pay attention to it.
This is exactly where we want to emphasize, that there are plenty of veterans there that will walk around with tags or a hat, and anyone who has a question, anyone who can't find himself or doesn't feel comfortable, you can simply turn to one of them and get all the necessary help. I participated on plenty of Congress. I saw a lot of happiness, people smiling and connecting, and it's a tremendous opportunity. And just to return to the previous question, Rav, because the Jersey Congress, it's practically one of the most coronal things happening on our calendar. It's going to be like a peak, something very special. And many countries from all over the world are going to be connected online to this event. So if you could once again maybe speak about the importance of this event in terms of what America can give to the world.
Well, I don't know to what extent it influences our friends in America, if they're influencing the entire world by that. But yes, the influence of the American Kli on the world is still very big. And everyone will be connected to this Congress, the whole world, everywhere. So I really hope that it'll be really central or key, that through it we'll be able to make a big step toward the goal. Yes.
Okay, so we're coming to the end. Our lesson will end soon. And maybe Marcus can say a few words. It's very important for us to tell you that this Saturday evening, 8 p.m. at c4g.tv, and also in many centers all over the States, New York, Toronto, Chicago, and Los Angeles, the Eurocup nights, and you could simply come to one of those centers in New York, Toronto, Chicago, Miami, and LA. Any of those centers, you can simply come there, and it's going to be one more step towards connection as a preparation for the Congress. And just to add that next Friday, we're already landing in Colombia. We'll meet the friends in Colombia, start the chain of events, and we'll be in Ecuador and Chile, weekend later in Mexico. So we'll really be happy to see everyone. And then in New Jersey, so these are going to be really 2 very intense weeks of unity, connection, spiritual progress. So we'll really be happy to see all the friends there. It's a very special, great, and tremendous event. Okay, so we have to finish now. I'd just like to thank everyone. Rav Laitman, thank you very much for taking the time to answer the questions of all of our students. And till next time, we'll see you. Until then, a song.
When I can't wait myself, I need you here. I'm calling for your help. I keep on searching for light. My heart feels frozen in this broken piece of life. Won't you please, 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 please help me? Let's do it together. No one is ever on their own. We'll break these walls between us. Let's fill the emptiness, and we'll never be alone. We are the people. We are born to love. Love's a shining light when we unite in this crazy life. We are the people. We are born to love. Love's a shining light when we unite in this crazy life. I'll be with you. I'll be with you. Heal this broken path. We'll end the misery. I'll give you all I have. I'll be your shoulder. Always around. Just hold on to my hand. And I won't let you down. Won't you